All right, guys, welcome back here. Today, I just wanted to go live. I felt compelled to stream live here today, and I'm doing a webcam setting, which is a little bit different than the streaming that I did for the last channel live session. So hopefully this goes through. This is all new to me. So anyway, today is April 4th. 2020, which if you add 2020 together, it's 4. So it's 444, which is like one of my favorite angel numbers. And if you have like followed my channel for a while, you'll know that the number 44 is where my journey all began, with the angel number 44 and following those signs and synchronicities. So I read a lot daily, and that's part of my routine and part of my journey is to be engaged in some type of reading in the morning. Usually, like while I go to the bathroom, I usually read a book, and you'd be surprised how quickly you can just knock down books in a few months by reading a couple paragraphs in the morning, while you're going to the bathroom, or having a book, by the toilet, or whatever the case is, or even just making time to journal and read a paragraph or two out of a book. And then as well, I like to read a couple paragraphs from a different book while I go to sleep, usually something uplifting. And for a while, I knew that this was like a great thing to implement into my routine. But slowly over time, especially the reading at night, because I was like super tired, so I'd want to go to bed and just forget about the reading. And I've re-implemented some of these things into my routine and looked at some of these things. So today, I just felt compelled to share one of a passage out of A Return to Love by Marianne Williamson. So if you guys haven't checked this book out, it is amazing. And I've read a lot of books, and this one, it's just great because it shifts your thinking. And I like the way that Marianne Williamson presents a lot of the material in this book. And also, it was Marianne Williamson's quote years ago that really stuck out to me. It was the one, I have it on my bulletin board back in my room. I wish I would have brought it out for this session and read it to you. But basically, it's the quote that says that you're powerful beyond measure, and it's not, and we're basically scared of how powerful we are. It's not like our darkness, but it's our light that scares us. And I saw that quote one day in a bookstore. It was on the little corner of the display window. I never went in the store. Ironically, this was during a time of my life where I was very egocentric and not the least bit spiritual. And that saying of Miriam's, it did something to me. It struck a chord deep within me. And that's why I truly do believe in seeds that can be planted for future growth, for future awakenings. And it was various seeds that were planted in me. It, like when you encounter deep truth, there's something that stirs in the innermost part of your being. And that quote about fear, and that we're powerful beyond measure, and that we're all children of God, it really did something to me. And years later, I was recommended that I read this book, A Return to Love, and it's a reflection on the principles of A Course in Miracles. Ironically, I have A Course in Miracles, the teacher edition, but like all things, when I first opened A Course in Miracles, even though I was drawn to pick it up, Synchronicities Unfolded, I was in this bookstore and I was drawn to pick up the book, something told me, you're not quite ready yet for this teaching, but you will be. So I've had it on my bookshelf for a long while, and I tried, numerous times throughout the last couple years to pick it up and to look at different things in there and try to understand it. And it just wasn't resonating, maybe, is, I don't even know the right word, but I recognized that there was truth in the teaching, but I hadn't mastered some of these other lessons that presented themselves in my life. So even though the information was there, it wasn't quite for me yet. And I knew that like A Course in Miracles would be right up my alley for the future. So I just naturally let the basic course of my awakening unfold to where I was ready to take on some of these higher teachings. And, I think that I'm reaching a place where I can start getting into A Course in Miracles and understanding that teaching further, especially after reading. I'm almost done with The Return to Love. It's super awesome book. And I read a passage this morning that I just thought was amazing, and it did something to me. This is, towards the end of the book. I think I have one more chapter, but I thought, I might as well get on the channel today and go live and, read a part of this book just because I thought it was so pertinent at this time, on April 4th. We are in a time where a lot of people are, heading into their fears. A lot of things are coming up in the collective, and it is a rough time for a lot of people. So I thought, what better time to read this message and also to maybe give a little bit of a channel update. So I'll read this passage and then I will give you a channel update about like what kind of content that I have coming up over the next week or two. Okay. It says, healing is a return to love. Illness and death are often painful lessons in how much we love, but they are lessons nonetheless. Sometimes it takes the knife that emotionally pierces our heart to pierce the walls that lie in front of it. One night in Los Angeles, during the meditation period following my lecture, I noticed two of my friends crying in the back of the church. They were in deep sorrow over the impending death of a mutual friend who had AIDS. It hurt me to see them in so much pain. Suffering, I've found, gives you X-ray vision into the suffering of others. Can't this burden be lifted? I asked God. We'd all seen so much sorrow, so much pain and death from this disease by then. Isn't this enough? Can it all be over? What occurred to me next was striking. I was reminded of my own dark night of the soul, almost a decade before. Hadn't I changed from my pain in deep and ultimately positive ways? If my soul had used that experience as a path to greater awareness of myself, how did I know that these other people weren't doing the same? It isn't my task to judge, to help in any and every way possible. Yes, but not to doubt the ultimate wisdom of all things. The greatest gift we can give to a person in pain is to hold in our minds the thought that there is a light beyond this darkness. What goes on externally is only the tip of the iceberg in any situation. The lessons, the real changes, the opportunities to grow, these are things the body's eyes can't see. They remain beneath the spiritual waterline, but they are there. And they represent a much more vast picture of the soul's journey than what we can see from the perspective of our physical senses. Growth is not always about getting what we think we want. Always, it's about becoming the men and women we have the potential to be. Loving, pure, honest, and clear. A longer life is not necessarily a better life. A healthy life is not determined by physical condition. Life is merely the presence of love, and death is merely its absence. Physical death is not real death at all. We're big enough now to realize that there's life beyond the physical. As we find that life, we grow into ourselves as sons of men and as sons of God. So I just thought that was beautiful. You can replay that after this live's over if you want to listen to it again. I just thought that out of this whole book, there has been great passages, but those passages there that is in chapter 7 here on page 260. I read that this morning and I thought, how great is that right now at this time? And my life unfolds as these different synchronicities occur in my own life to only point me in a direction that there's a greater intelligence unfolding. These signs and synchronicities as events unfold in my own life, point to a greater intelligence, which I refer to as God or as spirit, that there is something for each one of us to learn a lesson through events, through all these things that are happening in our collective. I like how she says that, the greatest gift we can give to a person in pain is to hold in our own minds the thought that there is a light beyond this darkness, that despite what is happening, that the physical eyes are seeing, that there are spiritual lessons in like the spirit realm, like not there's more things going on behind the scenes that we are aware of. There's lessons on a grand scale. There's lessons on an individual scale. There's so many things that are going on. There's so much growth that is going on as well. And I like how she talked about the dark night of the soul. What occurred to me next was striking. I was reminded of my own dark night of the soul almost a decade before. Hadn't I changed from my pain in deep and ultimately positive ways? And this struck a chord within me because my dark night of the soul happened to me when I was 21 and I'm 36 now. And that time was very challenging for me. I was in such a state of confusion and it was just very traumatic and dramatic. And it was just, I was a mess. And it was like 13 years went by to where I finally truly understood why I had to go through that darkness and pain to, grow. And ultimately, that's why I named my channel Awaken Growth, because we truly are here to grow. And as there are many purposes for each of us, we all have our personal missions. Truly, we are here to grow. And once we awaken spiritually, we realize how much we have to grow. While one person masters something, another person is working on that same thing. And, in that way, we can reach out to each other because there are people that can help us. Where I'm strong in one thing, I'm weak in what you're strong in. So in that way, we all can help. We can help each other. And this book, A Return to Love, is all about recognizing that it's our mindset that is twisted, that it's our conditioning, our Western temperament, most of us raised in the United States and in other countries. It's just showing how society and how our minds have been geared in the opposite direction, many times plagued by the media and fear and all of these things that we're not acting on states of love. Rather, we're acting in one way, shape, or form. We're acting from fear. And I just thought that it was beautiful. And even just reading this book, focusing more on love, it's enabled me to focus more on prayer, to focus on heart-centered meditations, focusing more on healing and having that love kind of flow through me, or even just opening to the possibility of having higher spiritual light, the presence of God, the Holy Spirit, angelic help flow through me as a vessel or conduit and channel for that to happen. Just being open to that to happen is a first great step in having the humility to lead a spirit-filled life. So I just thought that I would share that with you today. And I really like that passage that Miriam wrote. And the next chapter is Death and Reincarnation. And it talks about a little bit of things, what the Course in Miracles says about that. And we'll save that chat for another day. But I would like to shoot some videos on reincarnation And I think that's next in the pipeline. So, I just wanted to share that with you. Once again, that book is from A Return to Love by Marianne Williamson. And I just thought it was very profound. And since it's April 4th and it's Saturday, I was feeling like lack of purpose. I was feeling today like very troubled mentally. And I thought, well, what can you do? Like, you just read this great passage out of this book that moved you so much. Well, why don't you share that? Why don't you go on your channel live and share that and give a channel update so people know like what's going on? Because through this whole situation, as many of you have seen, I'm still uploading videos and stuff like that, but it has shaken me. The situation has definitely knocked me off of my routine. And it's funny because there have been other things that have kind of challenged the channel, not just challenge me, but like challenge the channel, because as my channel grows, I have a responsibility because this is what I like to do. But there have been other shakeups that have challenged me creating the content and creating the videos to get these videos out like I normally do on a weekly basis. I like to try to do these 3 videos a week to get some content out there for the channel. And this situation has definitely knocked me off my seat, I guess, if you will. And some people might say, well, that's weird because, I lost my job, so I should have all this extra time, you would say. And the truth of the matter is, nothing really has changed for me except not going to my bartending job at night. I still do my normal routine through the day, of course, not going to the gym and whatnot. But so I wanted to give a channel update of what is going on, what's coming up for us. I think I did this in one of my energy updates, but for those that haven't seen that, I talked about some things that I was going to do in 2020. Some of those things are guided meditations that I'm going to work on. I want to do some motion graphics. Of course, all these things that I want to do, I have high hopes and aspirations, and I'm pushing myself out of my comfort zone on most of these projects. So some people advise just to get this stuff out and put it out. But for me, I would like the things that I release and the content that I create to be something that I'm proud of. So for me, I'm a bit of a perfectionist, and those are some things that I'm working through. But I have this whole book here. This is my book for my YouTube content creation. And I have just, videos and upon video topics and ideas, just tons of stuff here. And this is all content for the channel. And this is all stuff that I'm going to be talking about this year coming up. So recently I did an interview with one of my friends about Kundalini because someone in the comments talked about they wanted to know like what Kundalini was. So I put on there about Kundalini. It's an interview. It's about a half hour long, so it's pretty cool. I really enjoyed the interview. I have some other like live talks like this that I just recorded over the past couple of days that I'm going to put up on the channel. Thanks, Sonia and Lewis. Thank you very much. And, I am looking forward to the channel growing. I also did a talk the other day about subscribers and viewers and like, what does that all mean? And it's almost like discovering a band that you really like, and you recognize the great talent and light within that band when they first come out before they get popular, and you really like them. And then they get real popular and they get all these views and subscribers. But you guys were there when you saw that band's potential in the beginning. And this happened to me back in the 90s with the band Bush. When they first came out, not too many people even knew them or heard of them. And I just thought that they were great. And then once they blew up and became super popular, it was like a nostalgic feeling then, because like I was there following these guys from the beginning. So I just like to thank the people that have supported me thus far and continue to watch my live updates and watch my videos. And I just wanted to say thank you. And I hope everyone else has a great day and, you know, truly finds peace within themselves through this, you know, tough time for all of us throughout the world. So much love, peace, and namaste.